Hi, I'm Dr. Katie Snow. It's that time of the year. We are starting to see a lot of fresh cabbages and greens in the local farmers markets and also the grocery stores. So it's time to make sauerkraut. Today we're going to share with you our recipe and the how-to to make our sauerkraut. We share it with friends. They love it. Even our son Grayson loves it as well. So first of all, I want to share with you the importance of fermented foods, why we eat fermented foods. So a lot of people right now, they're nervous. They've over the last months have had worry about COVID and different viruses. And we want to share with you it's so important and critical that our microbiome is nice and healthy. Over 70% of our immune system is right here housed in our digestive tract. And so if we can have a little bit more insurance by having our digestive tract operating properly, having a lot of nice flora abounding, that is going to go a long ways in helping our system handle any contact with viruses. So let's get started. I'm going to show you the different ingredients that you need to have ahead of time. So just make you a grocery list, have these things available, and it's really an easy process to make this sauerkraut. So what we're making today, there's a lot of different recipes for fermented vegetables, but today we're making just the basic cabbage sauerkraut. And I'm going to make it so basic, I'm not going to do any of my add-ins, but I'll tell you a little bit about them as we go. So first of all, you want to have your quart size glass mason jars with the wide mouth. So that's just the expanded mouth on them. You want to go ahead and have them rinsed and clean. You want to have this little wooden plunger. I call it a pounder, but it's made for making sauerkraut. So just make sure it's not too wide. It's going to fit nice in your jar, and I'll show you that in a minute. All the seasonings, so I'll just go over a few of them. I do like to get organic with all of these ingredients. So from seasonings to the garlic, the cabbage, if you can see, this one's Cal Organic, but any organic cabbage, and even when you go to the local farmers markets, just make sure that it's important for you to ask the farmer if it's organic. And a lot of people at the farmers markets do farm organic. So the seasonings, we use bay leaf, there's brown mustard seed, caraway seed, juniper berry, coriander seed, savory is just a spice, organic saffron, and then dill seed. There's more seasonings that you can use. You can get as much to your palate and to your taste that you would like. But these are some of the basic ones, again, that we use. Also, garlic, and you can do it fancy where you peel the garlic, but I'm going to show you my easy way, and that's with my garlic masher. And so when I go to make this, you don't even have to peel them, put them in, and then that's going to go directly into the crushed up cabbage, which I'm going to show you in just a minute. So this is another tool to have in your kitchen. So basic 2 tools you'll need for sauerkraut right here. You'll have your chopping board. Also I have my knife that I'm going to cut my cabbage. And so here's another quicker concept. So this is going to save you time with not having to peel the garlic, and then to not have to hand chop all the cabbage. If you take it and cut it after you wash it and prepare it, save the outer leaves. The outer leaves are what you're going to use to keep the liquid level lower in the sauerkraut finished jar. But just remember to save the outer leaves, wash them, and then we'll show you in the last step how we're going to use them. But go ahead and cut your cabbage into these little quarter sections. And then when you go ahead and put together your food processor, make sure you take the S blade out, and in place you're going to use the slicer blade. And so when you put that in, it's going to slice the cabbage really nicely, and that's going to save you so much time whenever you do it this way. So we'll go ahead and so with this recipe, you're actually going to take 1 whole head of cabbage. So 1 whole head of cabbage is going to basically fill 2 jars. And if you're going to add onion, I would take about 1/2 of an onion per jar. So if you have a full onion, a full cabbage, and then probably to your taste, I would do a couple cloves of garlic. but you'll just have to try and see to taste what you like. But go ahead and once you fill this container up with the full cabbage, then you're going to transfer it over into a bowl, a heavy glass bowl with a more of a flat bottom on it. And that's where you're going to use your little plunger, and you're going to go ahead and start mashing. So this is what it looks like. I did this just minutes ago before I started the video. And I went ahead and started smashing. And then what you do is you add 1 tablespoon of salt. And so I just went ahead and put the tablespoon in there, sprinkled it, and it already started making the cabbage water. And so that's the important things. If you're just going to make it super basic with no seasoning, it's 1 head of cabbage, 1 onion, or just 1 head of cabbage, 1 tablespoon of sea salt, and that's what's going into the jar. Anything above that is just optional and extra. But what I did today to show you guys is this is just plain cabbage, 1 head, and then I did 1 tablespoon of good pink sea salt. So it's really important to pick out a nice sea salt, not the cheap sea salt that it's white in the grocery store, but it needs color, so it's either pink or gray when you're choosing your sea salt. And so after you've given it a pretty good amount of, it starts getting a little sloshy in the bowl. You can hear it watering. And basically, the reason that the cabbage, it's just so easy, it's just salt and cabbage, is cabbage leaves also, or they have a natural lactobacillus layer within each of the leaves. And so it has the starter built in. So you're not having to go and buy a starter or open a probiotic capsule. The starter is already built into the cabbage leaves. So, so one thing that we teach our patients in practice is just the importance of getting this extra probiotic into the diet. So it's one thing that you're taking probiotics, and that's wonderful, but having the added extra benefit of these fermented foods full of lactobacillus, that you're just getting additional benefit into the gut. You'll see things like your energy return, having more of these types of foods in your diet. But we actually just processed or manufactured our first line of supplements. And one of the key things we wanted in those supplements is the fact that there's fermented foods in the supplements. So we think so highly and so much of fermented foods that we wanted to show you how to make your own sauerkraut, but also we wanted to just explain the benefits, and putting that into our supplements was key. And it was one of the first things on our checklist when we sat down to start working on our supplement line. So now that we've got it pretty much to this phase, set the plunger down. Then you get a spoon, kind of like this, that you can pull a little bit of cabbage out at a time and just slide it into the jar. And you can see it's gotten a lot juicier since just sitting here in the bowl with the salt on it. And we're almost done with our first jar. It's a very easy process. But you want to fill it about 3/4 full. And then we're going to take our little pounder. Remember, we want it to fit into the jar, and we're going to work it into the jar a little bit more. So 3/4 full. And see how it pushed it down? It's like nice and juicy. And that should be about the level that we want it. And then from here, we're going to take one of these cabbage leaves. Remember, I said save the outer leaves. They're a little bit harder leaves. And we're going to fold this. I'm going to put actually a little bit more. It's already settling down a little bit. And then we're going to take this outer cabbage leaf and just tuck it right inside the top. So that's it. It's really simple. One thing, another little tip that I'll give you is these jars, once you fill them, put the cabbage leaf in the top, wipe the jar really good so you get a good seal on it. And then once you get it tight, you want to set it in a little dish like this, because it's going to sit on your counter in your kitchen for about 3 days. You'll actually see a little bit of bubbling at the top, and that's good. But what we've seen in the past and what's happened to me without having a tray like this is it bubbles out and it'll actually get on your counter. So if you have a nice tray like this, it'll prevent all that. So I can line about 6 jars right here on this tray, and I just push it to the back of my counter and I let it set 3 days, and from there they're ready to go into the refrigerator to eat. I think they're best about 4 weeks after you prepare them. They have a really good flavor, but you can eat them as soon as, on the 4th day after they have done that fermentation process on the counter. Put them in the fridge, and they are good for about a year. On the fermented vegetables, about a year that you can eat on them. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, post them below, and like and share this with your friends. We hope you enjoyed it.